Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome over to the DFS 5-pack. Who's having a wonderful Friday? I like this baseball slate a lot. I had a lot of fun talking this one over with you guys, or with you on members only. If you guys want access to that, it's a bunch of different ways to get it. We got, weekly memberships up on the website. We got monthly memberships. I'll do this today too. You buy a weekly membership, I'll send you $10 back, which means your first week will be $5. You'll get 7 days of NBA, 7 days of MLB for only $5. The membership link is, or the website link is below. Sign on up and let's rock and roll, guys.
Let's get it, man.
So let me get this bad boy rolling. All right. So you guys see the cover boy, Garrett Cole. I'm excited to discuss him with you in a few minutes. Today's show is brought to you by our good partners at Jazz Sportsbook. If you're a sports bettor, use the promo code 5-pack, sign on up. Let me know if you make a deposit, and I will get you a free 5-pack membership. You're going to bet on sports either way. These guys have been in business for over 20 years. Use the promo code 5-pack. Make that first deposit. Bigger deposit you make, the longer the membership is that I'll give you. Plain and simple. We've had a lot of luck with them over there. They do a great job taking care of our customers and everything like that. So it's jazzsports.ag. Give it a whirl. And as discussed, a weekly membership gets a $10 rebate today, guys. Instead of the $5 day pass we used to have, you get $5 for a week. Test us out and let's ride this.
For sure, man. Excited about everything.
All right, guys, subscribe to the station if you're new to it. So let's talk about Garrett Cole. So there are essentially about 28 pitchers today, but concentration for who's chalk today will be heavily concentrated around three guys. And one of them is going to be Garrett Cole. So we have two of the Mount Rushmore of starting pitchers today, right? Like we got Garrett Cole, we got Shane Bieber, no DeGrom, but these two guys are two of the best, we'll even just say 5 starting pitchers in baseball when it comes to DFS. And they're both Bieber and Cole will be crazy, crazy chalk. But early in the day, Cole is projected to be decently higher owned than Bieber. My big question for you, what are your thoughts on the idea that with the wind really blowing out hard tonight in Yankee Stadium, do you think that affects the ownership projections in this at all? Like, do you think there's a chance Bieber comes in as the bigger chalk because of that?
Slightly, maybe, but I do think a lot of people are just going to look at this matchup. I mean, like you say all the time, it's hard to have the wind affect much if you can't hit the ball. So I think people are going to look at the Cole strikeout upside against the Detroit lineup that has a ton of guys that strike out a bunch above league average, and lean Cole against the Chicago lineup that's just far, far better than Detroit. That said, I'm not going to be surprised if maybe a little ownership shifts because of it.
Now, they're both going to be popular. Neither one of these dudes is going to be below 25%, right? Like, you can just assume right now that they're both going to be 25% plus owned. If Cole's 50 and Bieber's, 26, that could happen. It could be closer to the middle. I think it's something worth checking back in at the end of the day. And I think there's a good opportunity that they're both, relatively similar. The Detroit matchup is better. I'll counter that with something you brought up yesterday. Now there's no Luis Robert either, along with no Eloy Jimenez on that lineup.
He's back.
Oh, you think he's back? Okay, never mind then. My bad on that one then. So the White Sox are also a team we fear a little bit more against lefties.
For sure. No doubt about it. Bieber just did cut up this Chicago team for like 45.
And guys like Bieber and Cole, yeah, you'd rather throw them out there against like Detroit or Colorado or something like that, but they can just flat out transcend the matchup because they are so elite. And when they're on like this, it's not insane at all to think that Bieber drops a 45 spot today and Cole is, blah with 28, which is a great start, but it's not tournament winning type of start.
100%. And you know what? I'm going to retract and say I was wrong. You were right. You're handsome. I'm ugly, et cetera, et cetera. Robert, I think, still will be out. He did not play yesterday. I'm not sure why I thought that.
Okay, not a problem. So I do think that the matchup with the Tigers it's about as good as you get in baseball. So Cole deserves all the love that he's getting. And I like both guys a lot. There's a lot of good options, especially one guy who I think most of you guys know who the crazy chalk will be as far as the cheaper pitchers go. But both of the big money pitchers widely in play today. Definitely a scenario where like you do you. I mean, these are two guys that you're probably going to get good numbers out of each of them because they are that good. So got to love the matchup for Garrett Cole today, even with the wind blowing up.
Agreed. Just a really good spot for Cole and for Bieber, quite honestly. I mean, you talked about it with no Robert and Jimenez. I mean, both these guys are elite. Like you said, you just play who you want. it's hard to, really differentiate between these two guys. You're splitting hairs.
Yeah, I mean, like three strikeouts doesn't seem like it seems like a lot, but for these guys, like Bieber could strike out 15 and Cole could get 12. Like they're that good. So it is kind of splitting hairs right here. Thought we would just talk over the two price guys. And I think the key here is there are a lot of ways you can play both of them.
Oh, yeah.
Like a lot of different ways. And we're going to get into a stack that I'm really looking forward to talking out with you after we go through cash game lock, which is going to be Gleyber Torres. So the Yankees, once again, getting kind of boring, but they're going to be chalky as hell today. We already mentioned the 20 to 30 mile an hour winds blowing out. Skubal's stuff, the guy they're matched up with Detroit today, it's not bad stuff. He's not a terrible pitcher, but he still isn't really consistently putting it together. And, Yankee Stadium's already kind of a joke when it comes to the idea of keeping the ball in the ballpark, really, really shallow down the lines. Ball just jets out all over the place. And now you throw in a 20, 30 mile or backwind blowing out. Like home runs can come real cheaply, especially against a guy like Skubal tonight. Gleyber Torres is very affordable at 4,200. And while the season hasn't started out great for him, he now has doubles in 3 straight games. I feel good about him tonight, and I think bold call for the day isn't even that bold. He's going yard tonight.
Yeah, I mean, listen, with how they've priced up a bunch of guys recently, the Yankees continue to be way too cheap. You mentioned Torres started to get going a little bit. You could tell he's been visually frustrated just at his slow start to the season. Hasn't even homered yet. That's going to change soon. Man, it is hard to get away from the Yankees tonight. Even with 27 teams in play, they stand out by a good margin.
No doubt about it, guys. Yankees will be chalk supreme again today. And as the news of the weather and the wind blowing out in New York kind of picks up steam throughout the day, they might even be more popular than anticipated. Like they might be as high owned as like the next 2 highest owned stacks combined.
I don't disagree with that.
So keep your eyes peeled on that one. So let's talk about my Milwaukee Brewers tonight. And there's a young man that goes by the name of Tyrone Taylor, who's 2K, playing good baseball to start the season. A lot of you guys probably don't know a lot about him, but he's got really good power. He's a good hitter. He can actually run a little bit. The stolen base numbers aren't there yet, but he's quick. He's fast. And we don't know what the Dodgers are doing at starting pitcher yet. They're still listed as kind of like undecided right now. So keep your eyes peeled on them throughout the day. And the idea of the Brewers stack becomes even more intriguing if they throw out somebody at starting pitcher today who's just not that good. Like the Dodgers staff is elite, right? Bauer, Kershaw, Buehler, etc. Urias, but it doesn't look like you're going to be getting one of their best pitchers today. So this could become more intriguing. My other point for the Brewers today, they really made Trevor Bauer work last night. Just missed a couple of home runs to start the game. Travis Shaw and Colton Wong only missed by a couple of feet. And they are dirt cheap today. Like dirt cheap. And also Milwaukee, they played their best ball so far this season against good teams. Over the last 2 weeks, they're 2-4 against the Pirates and Marlins, but 4-0 against the Padres and Dodgers. Makes sense out of that.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's just so baseball. Man, you talked about it. Taylor is actually a good hitter, decent prospect for them, hitting right in the middle of this lineup. I mean, he is 2K. Again, it's like you mentioned, we don't know what the Dodgers are throwing out yet, but potentially just like a weak, arm that won't be around for much longer. Hard not to at least take a look at some of these Brewers, and Taylor stands out to me at literally the flat 2K.
Right, like the Brewers' top 2 hitters today, you can stack them, play Cole and Bieber together, and still get some good pieces of offense. Their top expensive hitters are Narvaez and Colton Wong, who I believe are 4,100 and 4K. Very, very affordable. I mean, they're barely even a negative salary detriment to your lineup if you went with the top 2 pitchers. So they're interesting. Watch what the Dodgers decide to do at starting pitcher. And like we were kind of talking about on members only, if all of a sudden it's one of their good pitchers and they decide to change things up, well, then you're probably not going to be as interested in it. But they might throw out like a minor league type of guy tonight that we just don't know has been called up or something like that.
For sure.
So interesting team to look at. Now, moving along down the line, speaking of the LA teams, the San Diego Padres are, in a decent spot today up against Logan Webb, who's not a complete and utter gas can, but on a slate filled with, quite a few good pitchers, you're going to have to look at some guys you can pick on. Jake Cronenworth, this guy that's got double digits 3 times over the last 4 games, pinch hit home run last night, I believe is what happened. He's very, very affordable at 3,800. Little power, little speed to go along with it. Could be batting in the middle of a good lineup tonight. It's going to be hard to get to the upper echelon San Diego guys tonight, but they got a couple of guys in this lineup who could be really affordable and allow you to play some of these good pitchers.
Yeah, and Cronenworth, like we talked about in the members only video, starting to see the ball pretty well right now, under 4K. Really nice filler option in all formats. At a weaker second base position. Sure, there's spend up guys everywhere, but the elite bats aren't at second base.
Yeah, exactly. Lastly, let's talk about a guy that we brought up the other day, made the cover, and then didn't make the lineup, so it didn't really help anybody there. But
I didn't realize that was yesterday.
Was that yesterday? It feels like that was 2 days ago.
He definitely was not in the lineup yesterday. Like I thought, brought him up 2 days ago too, but yesterday he was facing Kikuchi and not in the daytime lineup.
Interesting. Okay, well Alvarez is out, so he should be in the lineup today, I would think.
Yeah, it's my bad for bringing him up 2 days in a row.
Oh, that's all right. I think I brought him up the day before, so that'd be on me. Anyways, like Kyle Mother Tucker, he's dirt cheap, and a point that you've made is, I think you said like per like advanced analytics, he's hit into the worst luck in baseball this season.
Yeah, he has hit the ball hard a ton this year, and again, that's baseball. Sometimes you don't get rewarded for your efforts. Tucker is just so much better than this price tag implies. He's got some reverse splits in his short time in the majors. He's very good against left-handed pitching. This guy's one of the better hitting prospects. Has been one of the hitting prospects for a couple of years. There's no reason he should be so cheap. I respect the Rays staff. I think Ryan Yarbrough is pretty good. Not really looking to stack Houston against him, but at this price point, I mean, we just talked about like Cronenworth at 3,800 is a nice filler at second base, and he's priced very nicely. Well, Tucker's much cheaper than that with higher upside because he's got power. You don't necessarily love using an outfield spot on a team you don't want to stack, but you're going to need some one-offs, and he's one of my favorites on the board.
3,100 for a guy who could easily steal a base and hit a home run in the same game.
And you get the feeling like once he gets that big hit, it's going to snowball, and like he's going to get hot.
Well, also, like, yeah, he's hitting into bad luck. He still has 5 home runs. Let's not pretend like he hasn't produced at all, right? Like, this guy still has good power. He's left the yard 5 times this year. I think he's got a couple of stolen bases on his resume. He can hit. He's 3,100. Now, there's not a lot of 3,100 hitters that you get at your disposal, like Tyrone Taylor that we already brought up. Like, there aren't a lot of guys who can hit home runs and steal bases that you're going to get for really, really cheap prices. These guys are, like, really good hitters who have do the things that DK rewards.
You give me, like, if there were all Kyle Tuckers all over the board, I would roster all of them and roster Bieber and Bauer.
For sure. So we've talked about this in the past. Like, there's a guy like Nick Markakis, recently retired, who's a good hitter, probably a better hitter than some of these guys that we bring up as high upside plays. But when you don't hit home runs very routinely and you don't steal bases, it's hard to get like big time GPP winning scores because you always got to have runners on. Then you got to score runs yourself. But like Kyle Tucker's a guy who could strike out 4 times and then hit a home run in his last at bat super easy, or have a bad day but still take a walk, steal a base, and score a run and get you a 9 spot.
Yeah, exactly. Or in those good days, do both.
Yeah, exactly. And then get you the premier upside that helps you win tournaments at what I assume will be relatively low ownership.
Yeah, same, man. And again, like talk about a lot of these cheap guys. He is just way too cheap. No reason he should be K.
You can play the best 2 pitchers on the slate and 2 of the best pitchers in baseball and still have him give you a positive effect to your salary cap, and that's nice to have.
That should never happen.
I agree, guys. So that's Friday. Let's have ourselves a good day. Those weekly memberships get a $10 discount today. Hope your Friday goes well, and we'll see you for NBA in a little while.
Thanks, guys.